doing this wrong. Look at yourself in the mirror. Look at yourself. What did you do last night? What skeletons do you have in your closet?
I think it's to keep us controlled. I think it's to keep us controlled. Run away from those experiences.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's the opposite. We're supposed to go into those experiences looking for the emotion to stay balanced. We're supposed to be balanced in every single experience.
I think in that moment I just let go of everything.
Yeah.
And I think I was vulnerable with God, and I just told him, like, I can't do it with my own strength. This world is so fucked.
I don't know where that sentence is ending.
Welcome back to another episode. Last episode, we never told, or we didn't even come up with a name for the podcast.
We had a name, but we weren't concise on it. We didn't know if
Yeah.
that was going to be it or not.
Yeah, we were on the fence.
Yeah.
It was up until it was after the podcast where you were pretty much just like, I feel like this is the name that we should go with.
Just makes the most sense.
It's the Prodigal Sons.
Hey.
Hi. Yeah, we're gonna actually get into it. I think that's the first thing I want to open up with and discuss why we're going with the Prodigal Sons, because I feel like it fits us so well. But yes, this is episode number 2. There's a lot to talk about today. The first episode was pretty much us just introducing ourselves, going into our past, talking about the very dark times that we had to experience in order to know what the light is like. And ironically enough, that's where I know I found Christ, and that was also your introduction to finding God, Christ.
Yeah.
And that's
really God, and then Christ came later, but yes.
Yeah, and again, as I mentioned in the last podcast, that's pretty much where most people find him, in the darkest place of their life.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, for today's episode, I think it would be best if we just start off with discussing why we came up with the Prodigal Sons, because that was actually your idea. So how did that come to you? What made you feel like this was going to be right for us? And then I'm going to tell you why. Immediately when you said it, it kind of clicked in my mind. Like, yeah, that sounds good.
We all have to experience things in order to find God. So if we do not venture into the unknown, and even still after you find God, you're still venturing into the unknown. So it's a continuous process, which is why it's so beautiful to be a prodigal son, because we're all prodigal sons, every single one of us. We have to go into it.
Well, actually, for the people that don't know, what does prodigal mean?
That's you. You probably know that more so, right?
I actually looked up the definition.
Yeah, do it. Yeah.
Well, the initially when I looked up the definition, it was someone who spends money recklessly or excessively. But then when I looked further into it, you know how there's certain words that have like different definitions?
Yeah.
The very last one was someone who pretty much just like, goes on this path where but then they end up finding their self back.
Isn't it funny that it's the last definition too?
Yeah.
You have to go through all of it to find the truth of what the prodigal son is.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Isn't that interesting? Right? And that is the process of finding God. You have to go all the way through it to find him.
Yeah. Because when I first saw the definition, I was just like, I don't know how that would relate to us.
Yeah.
But then it was like the very last definition, and I was just like, whoa, like I almost missed that.
Yeah.
So I just thought, like, because most people probably don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we mostly associate, if you're reading the Bible, you're going to think about the prodigal son and that parable that's spoken, which is you have to leave home. You have to go out and go through your troubles. You have to go through your woes. You have to go through your troubled times. That's a part of it. You have to go through it. And if you're not willing to go through it, you're not going to uncover the truth of what's sitting inside you. You're not going to find this essence that God has placed inside of us, but God wants you to leave. God wants you to adventure. God wants you to go out and experience the experiences. And if you're not willing to do that, well, are you really going to find the true God?
Yeah.
Or even the truth to anything?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I really don't think you can. That's why you have to venture into the darkness. You have to go into the unknown, which is another synonym to the darkness. You have to go out there and experience these things, these emotions, these times of our life that we don't want to happen. Like, obviously, we want none of the shit that happened to us. We don't want any of that to happen, nor do we want that to happen to anybody else.
Yeah.
So it's all about going out there to experience it, to then prevent it for your own self to happen again. But through the learnings of those experiences, it's now, how can I prevent this from happening to somebody else?
Yeah.
So that they don't have to go as deep into that murky water. They don't have to fucking submerge themselves. Yeah. All they have to do is just go knee deep. Yeah. Because somebody's just like, wait. I've gone down that far. You don't want to go there. So how can I help you stay on dry land?
Yeah.
To make sure that you're following more of the light.
You know what's funny? There's like this. Well, first of all, I think there's this common misconception of Christians, Christ followers, right? Like, as soon as you communicate to someone that you believe in God or you're a follower of Christ, they immediately look at you as this perfect person. And we kind of touched we touched on this in the last podcast, and we're far from perfect. And I think that's the whole point of it, right? Like the prodigal son, and we're referring to the book of Luke, because I think
you're right.
Yeah, the book of Luke, and I think it was chapter 15.
Like I said, you know it better than I do. Like the Bible, knowing where things are. Your brain works much more.
I guess in that way, sure.
Yeah, and we've talked about this too, where I'm a person who reads and applies. Like, I don't memorize things. Yeah. It's never been my thing. That's why I sucked at school. Like, I sucked at school because I don't memorize things. Yeah. I apply after I read.
Yeah, it's in the book of Luke chapter 15, I believe, where Jesus pretty much gives that parable, and he's talking about the two sons. Obviously, the father in this situation is God, and one son pretty much just like goes off, and he actually asked his father if he can have the share of the estate. His father gave it to him willingly, let him go. He pretty much just went off on his own, went into the world, and spent his money on prostitutes, living lavishly, living very worldly. But then he came to the realization, once he lost all of his money, this isn't the life that I want to live. And immediately, what did he feel like everyone else that feels this way? He felt a lot of guilt and shame. And he was contemplating, like, man, like, I want to go back to my father, but I just don't know if he's going to accept me.
Yeah.
Because, like, look at what I did. Like, I didn't have to leave, but I left, and this is how I spent my money. This is what I decided to do. And then when his heart started to change and he realized, you know what, this isn't the life that I want to live. I'm just going to go back to my father, and I'm going to accept the fact that he's not going to accept me as his son anymore. And as soon as he got back to his father, his father knew he was coming. And what did he do for him? He prepared pretty much a party, a dinner for him. A way of pretty much saying that God knows that we're human, and he knows that we're going to go down this path at some point in our life where we know God and we maybe have a relationship with him, but we're then going to go down this path again which eventually leads to destruction. But he's pretty much telling us that he's going to embrace us with open arms when we decide to come back to him.
That's right.
And it's so funny because, like, especially in my experience, anytime that I, wear off that path, I'm filled with so much anxiety, fear. I've been feeling it lately, actually. And I feel like, at least
it coming from change, you think?
I don't think so.
Because it could go that way as well. Like, you're changing something within yourself, so there's anxiety of like, oh man, the blocks aren't sitting the same way anymore because I'm changing them.
It could be that, but I also believe it's from stepping away from him, which is
still ironic. Change, yeah. Which is change within itself too.
It could be, yeah. You're right. I think it stems from me stepping away from him.
Yeah.
Even if it's small, even if it's tiny, as soon as you take that step away from him, that's when you start to feel it. So I've been feeling a lot of anxiety. I've been feeling a lot of fear for some reason. And there's days where I'm talking to people and like they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't, like, you have no. I can put on this front. We can have a conversation. I can be smiling. We could have a full on conversation. Nobody will ever know that. But that's what I've been feeling inside of my soul on a day-to-day basis for some reason. And I know it's because I'm stepping away from God.
Now, why do you think you're stepping away from him?
I think it...
Are you learning something new?
You know what I think it is? I actually reflected.
Yeah.
I think there's a part of me that knows and understands that there's so much more to this life.
Yeah.
And when I was rooted in God and Christ, like I started receiving all of these visions of the person that I can potentially be and how many lives I can potentially impact.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a part of me that scared me.
Mm.
It
I've
kind
been
of
through it.
scared me because I know I have a whole lot of potential,
Right.
and I think God has shown me as well. And I
Visions
think seeing those visions, it kind of scared me a little bit. Like,
on
God,
purpose.
you like this is all of the responsibility that you want me to have, even though I've even asked you for it. It's just like, oh shit, like
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
I can actually have that.
Yes.
So it's kind of like, let me just step back. But as soon as you step back, it's just like, oh, you're not ready. I showed you already.
Mm-hmm.
I showed you what you can achieve. I know you want it in your heart, but you're showing me that you're not mature enough yet to receive it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why I've taken a step back from God.
And the way to then attain it is by putting in the work. It's not, I don't know why this is coming to me, but you know, like when you can cross a street and you have the walking sign, like that's your time to go, right?
Yeah.
But then there's times that hand is up there, but you know no cars are coming.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it. So do it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get in trouble for it. You're not going to get jaywalking for it. You're not going to get hit by a car. There's no cars coming.
Mm-hmm.
So it's believing in yourself, knowing that this vision that God gave you was a vision on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And you're standing on that side of the road with a hand up saying you can't walk right now, but you can.
Mm-hmm.
So it's on you to say this anxiety, this overwhelming sensation is a tactic that's suppressing me from actually attaining that vision that God gave me. Yeah. So once you start looking at this is actually slowing me down, well, now use it as a tool to speed you forward.
And that leads me into the next conversation. And this is something that we spoke about the other day. I think this was maybe yesterday, 2 days ago. And this was something that I picked up on in the Gospels when Jesus would pretty much look at someone before he healed them. And he would ask them if they wanted to be healed.
Mm-hmm.
He would ask them. He wouldn't just do it. He would ask them.
Right.
And it was up to them to decide, yes, I want to be healed, or no, I do not want to be healed. And I took that. So it's almost like I just had this revelation, but I took that and I kept thinking about it. It just kept playing in my mind for some reason. And I just like think about everyone in this world that's living in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
There's times
that is the child that did not leave.
Mm.
We don't talk about the other child. We talk about the one that went to go venture out and do the things.
Mm.
What about the other one? What about the brother?
Oh, he was upset.
But this is who we're talking about. The ones that are sitting in the dark are the ones that did not want to leave home.
Mm.
That's them.
Yeah.
Don't be that. Don't be that child that just sits there.
Yeah.
Don't be that child. No, go out. Do it. Yeah. Do the fucking work.
Just do it, yeah.
That's them. That's not believing that something could take place.
You know, I never looked at it from that perspective until you said it. Because you said this to me not too long ago, and I was just like, I've never looked at it that way.
Mm-hmm. That's the child that did not leave is the people of our collective that's sitting in the darkness. That's who they are.
Yeah. But then it just goes back to like, do you want to be healed? Do you want to change? And that's why I thought about like Jesus pretty much asking people if you want to be healed. Like, it's up to you. I can heal you. Mm-hmm. You just got to have the faith. Or do you actually want to take the steps to be a better person, mm-hmm. to be changed, to be different than who you are now? Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of people that complain a lot. Mm-hmm. I've been there.
As have I.
You complain, oh my gosh, I want to be this. I want to have this, you know.
But that gets tiring, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
Tiring brings in lethargic body, lethargic mind, lethargic soul.
Yeah.
So when something does come to you in a presentation that God is trying to show you, hey, do something else. Try doing this. And then you reject that hand, no matter if whoever it is. Yeah. Like, that's how God works. God works through all of us.
Yeah.
So it could be a random person that you meet on the side of the street. That's that hand that God's trying to tell you, hey, stop complaining. What's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point? There is no point to it. All you're doing is stopping yourself and you're preventing yourself becoming the prodigal son.
Yeah.
That's all that is. You're stopping yourself from being the prodigal son, like every other person who has taken on that venture of leaving to come back again, to know that they were always going to be accepted. Always.
Yeah. Why do you think people, I know it's draining and I know it's tiring, but why do you think people would rather stay in that darkness rather than venture out into the light? And I personally believe it stems from comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, you can be born into darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And this could also relate back to generational curses, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can be born into it and that's all you know.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see something else, when you see, you know and understand this is not where you want to be, but it's also kind of just what I just said about my own personal situation. As soon as you see the light, as soon as you see that door open,
Right.
it piques your interest. But then when you get closer and closer to it, it's unfamiliar territory.
Mm-hmm.
So you just resort back to what you're comfortable with. Okay, I'm used to being in the darkness. I've been here all of my life. It's the same person as someone being born into a wonderful life.
Mm-hmm. Silver platter.
Silver platter, right?
Mm-hmm. Silver platter, silver spoon, silver fork, silver knife, everything.
Yep.
Yeah. Duality.
Duality of life.
Mm-hmm.
Light and dark.
I mean, look at Buddha. That was Buddha.
Mm.
Buddha was born into fucking wealth, dude. Like, he had everything you could think of.
Crazy.
That was Buddha in the beginning. And then him and his servant, or whatever he would you call it in that time frame, that would walk around with him through the outside of the palace. Mm. He saw homeless people sitting there, had no food, and he's like, who are these people? Why are they like that? Mm. They went back to the palace, and he sat there and contemplated, and he's like, this isn't what life is supposed to be. Motherfucker just got up and left. Everything. Went to the woods. Now that's why we speak of Buddha, because he said, I'm going to leave this place. All of the teachings came from him seeing that that's not the way it's supposed to be, left.
Wow.
That's his teachings.
Yeah.
Like, his teachings are powerful. When you read them, they run parallel with Christ. Like, they all kind of speak the same things. That's the beauty of seeing God in this diamond form. It's, even if you relate to God in the form of Buddha, Buddha still is speaking the same language as Christ. Yeah. Same thing. Love. Do no harm. Find the purpose. What you're doing. Go after it. They're all saying the same thing. It's, we have to drop this, there's only one image that can be for God. Why? Is that person who's respecting Buddha also respecting my own view of what God is how I see Christ? Is he? Yeah, cool. I love him. Even if he's not, I still love him. Mm-hmm. It's, we have to drop this singular image of what God is supposed to be. And when we open up the fields to more possibilities, we bring in more love. That's what it's supposed to be all about. We're supposed to be bringing more love to ourselves. Mm. But we stunt it. We stunt it because this is the only way.
Pride gets in the way.
Right.
Ego gets in the way.
And look at the month we're inside of. Yep. We're in Pride Month. Look how much egos run around.
Oh, for sure.
Do you? You know what I mean? Like, if you're gay and you want to have sex with a man, have sex with a woman, like, I don't care. Like, I really have no worries. Like, are you happy and in love? Mm. That's all I want. If you're happy and in love with the person that you're happy and in love with, that is what God wants for every single one of us. Yeah. That's it.
You know what? I saw this video. It was a Christian talking about gay marriage, mm-hmm. and people who are in that community, and he shared his perspective on how just the Christian following can find themselves so focused on condemning them rather than realizing and understanding that their sin is as equal to the sin that you partake in on a day-to-day basis as well. Mm-hmm. I would also argue that there's so much more sin within people who are straight, yeah, than what they're partaking in. It's the same thing.
That's it. That's the point.
We're all participating in sin.
Yes. Why? So why do we see it as different things? Division.
It's division, yeah.
It's all about division. This whole entire thing has been about division for hundreds and thousands of years.
Yeah.
It's division, it's division, it's division. All right, that gets tired the same way as you complaining. That gets lethargic. Division gets tiresome. Get over it. Get the fuck over the division and realize that that division is what's stopping you from actually loving your fucking neighbor.
Yep.
No matter who it is.
Why do you think Jesus says, before you judge someone, why don't you take the log out of your eye before you're willing to take the speck out of someone else's?
Why? Because you don't handle your own business.
That's what I'm saying. We're so quick to point the finger at someone like, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong. Look at yourself in the mirror. Look at yourself. What did you do last night? What skeletons do you have in your closet? But you're trying to put the focus on this person. Why don't you take accountability first? Work on what you're dealing with. And once you got it all figured out, maybe you can help that person, not condemn them, but show them love and try and help them figure it out. That's the whole purpose of life.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is it. That sums up everything.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna lie. I think we've all fallen into that place.
100%. 100%. And that's not to say that I still don't slip into that mentality.
For sure. It's hard.
But it's not as powerful as it once was. It was really, like, if you go back 10 years into my life, I was divided in so many different ways, even though I was a free spirit just kind of moving through. But the divisions in here wasn't my true nature. And I knew it wasn't my true nature, but it was so hard to work through. And it's like, we'll go percentage wise. Like 10 years ago, I would say I was divided within my mind probably up to like, I don't know, 70%.
When you say divided, what do you mean?
Not seeing clearly, not thinking clearly, not seeing the truth of that this whole thing is about unity.
Yeah.
That what food group you eat, to what exercise group you're inside of, to who you love, to whatever way you want to see God. Like, those are just 4 or 5 things I just named off. But then think about everything else. It's just like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
That's how I take my perspective now. And it's, if you love to love, whatever your form of love is, and you're not causing harm to yourself, to others in an emotional, psychological, physical, or spiritual manner, because there's levels. If you're not causing harm in any one of those forms, by all means, keep doing you. But if you are causing harm in any one of those 4, 5 things, whatever, check yourself. Check yourself, as Christ would say, that log in your eye, that's saying check yourself.
Yeah.
That's basically what he's saying in the modern time. Check yourself.
Same thing with gossip.
Yeah, check yourself.
Gossip kills
check
me.
yourself.
Oh my gosh, it kills me, man. This person walks out the room. Oh my god, like, who cares? Like, what? Are you okay? Are you good?
There's so much more to think about.
So much, man. Like, it's just crazy.
But on that, they are some of now my greatest teachers.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's thanking them behind closed doors is how we hope to heal them, because they would not be able to heal the words of healing in person. So that's where you pray for those people to hope for them to get better.
And we know and understand how powerful prayer is as well. Like, I don't think people, like, if you're not spiritual, if you haven't had your eyes opened yet, and I emphasize yet, because everyone is capable of having their eyes open. Once you reach that level and that point where you know how powerful prayer is, just praying for someone that you truly love and care about, praying for healing, whether it's from a physical or an emotional standpoint, like, God hears everything, and He will do it. And what does He tell us? He tells us to pray all of the time, in spirit and truth.
And this goes back to what you were talking about in the beginning, was why do you think Christ would ask the people, do you want to be healed? Or do you want to feel this? Or whatever the case was. Because He wanted to see where your belief was, where your faith was. That's what He was searching for. I mean, even though He knew it from the jump, you know what I mean? Yeah. He wanted to make sure that this person was real. Like, he can see it in all of us. Like every single one of us wants it.
Yeah.
Every single one of us wants it. It's where is your mentality?
Here's the thing. What do you think, especially when it comes to faith? Because I think most people, including myself at some point, your faith, you almost experience this trauma
Mm-hmm.
from, because everyone, especially when you're a child, right? Everyone is pure as a child.
Very much
That's
so.
probably when you have the most faith in your life.
You're right to source.
You're this empty vessel.
Mm-hmm.
You're open to receiving information, and you're a sponge at that point.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you have the most faith. But as you progress in life, that faith is severed because of your experiences, because of what the world pretty much just does to you.
Mm-hmm.
What it does, it beats you down, and it kind of just like, it drains you. So what do you think about the people that, including myself, that faith is hard to, like, how do you receive, or how do you get back to a point where your faith is so beyond, to the point where you're able to receive those things from Christ, because of that trauma, because of those experiences that's happened in people's life.
Well, that's like the prodigal son right there.
Mm.
That's another form of the prodigal son.
I felt like I had a stroke saying that, but I was trying to gather my thoughts, but it didn't come out the way that I wanted to.
Yeah, it is what it is. Maybe you did have a stroke. Do you think you could have a mini stroke?
Maybe I was having a stroke.
Right.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be something, capturing that on camera? That'd be crazy, right?
That would be some shit.
I think that would go viral.
I don't know. You think so?
Probably.
I guess somebody having a stroke on camera probably would.
I mean, then again, I don't know. They would probably think I was faking it.
Everything's fake.
Guy, big stroke on camera.
What was the question as we went off onto a tangent there?
People, let me not have a stroke this time.
That's why we did that, to retake it. All
yes,
right, cool.
absolutely. That's a clip. People who's experienced a lot of trauma in their life, to the point where they've lost their faith entirely.
Mm-hmm.
How do they then retrieve it? How do they build that faith back up when they've been disappointed their entire life?
Good job. You didn't go with a stroke.
I didn't. I tried.
I think it's recognition of remembering the joy. Like, even in your unfaithful states, are you still happy? You know what I mean? Are you still, even if they're glimpses, like, it could be those minute moments of you walking through a supermarket and you see a little kid just so happy running through the aisle, and it's just like, oh man, like, that's awesome.
Little moments like that. Yeah.
Those little moments, but little moments build and build and build, because that's more of your recognition. That's what you're seeing more of. You're now paying attention to, damn, I like those little moments. They make me feel good.
Yeah.
That's you building faith again. Climbing back up this ladder of everything is already beautiful. But you have to go through those moments and those spurts of, life just sucks. Like, what is going on right now? And then something happens and you're just like, dude, life is amazing. Like, it's crazy. It's beautiful.
For sure.
And the more times you see that perspective, the more you know that you could be sitting inside that all the time. And that is pure faith. That's just knowing that everywhere you go and everything you do is divinely directed by God's hand.
Yeah.
And you no longer have to stutter. You no longer have to, like, feel like your car is getting out of gas and you're trying to, like, push yourself to the next gas station. No. You know that your car is going to be filled every time you get in that car.
Yeah.
You know you're not going to be on empty ever again, because you know that God is going to supply it because of the perception of all of the things that you have gone through.
You know what? This was, I think, 2 days ago. When did I last see you? Was it because I remember you saw me in the gym. This was when you were walking out, and I was doing deadlifts that day. Was that
Might have been
Thursday
yesterday.
night?
What's today?
Oh, I think I also saw you yesterday. Today's Saturday.
The last time I saw you, I think, was when your brother was here.
So that was yesterday. But then I think the day before, I think I saw you as well.
And that was when you were deadlifting at night.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So before I actually entered the gym that day, I actually felt God's presence. It was so strong.
Yeah.
I was in the car, and right before I walked in the gym, I'm actually so excited because I cried.
Yeah.
Right before I came into the gym.
Yeah.
It actually felt so good.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't. It's been months since I have.
Cried?
Yeah. It's been months. When I was in the midst of my storm, I was crying every single day.
Yeah.
Every single
But
day.
isn't it amazing how tears can also be resembled in joy? It's
Right?
not just sadness.
Yeah.
There's tears of love. There's tears of joy.
Yeah.
When we think of tears, tears aren't just sadness.
Mm-hmm.
Tears are also joy.
Yeah. It felt really good because I was listening to some music. But right before I went into the gym, so many thoughts just kept running through my mind. And I think for the past week or so, I understand how important it is to dive into your thoughts, but sometimes it can just be so draining. Sometimes you don't want to just sit there because of how draining it is to just peel the layer back on so many different things and just understand why things happen the way that it did. And then how can I reconnect with Christ? How can I reconnect with God? How can I continue to build this relationship?
Yeah.
All of it is just so draining, especially when you're working, especially when you're doing so many things at once and you're trying to pour into people. So in that moment, I was just present. I was still. And then all of the thoughts just started to crowd my mind again. And this is part of letting go. I think in that moment, I just let go of everything.
Yeah.
And I think I was vulnerable with God, and I just told him, like, I can't do it with my own strength. I'm human. I can't. And then as soon as I said that, that's so funny because that's when I literally felt chills. And that's when I just let loose. And I was kind of looking around to see if anyone saw me. But it was just, I just let go of everything. And that was the first time I cried in maybe like 2-3 months. And that was something that I was praying for. Like, man, feeling those emotions is actually beautiful.
Yes, they are. They're
And
meant to be.
And what are we told to do? We're told to run away from it.
As a man, yes.
As a man, we're told to run away from it.
I couldn't tell you how many times I've cried in the last week.
Yeah.
Oh, I catch myself randomly crying all the time.
It's beautiful, though.
It's purging. It's a purge. It's the same thing. When you go into a sauna, you're getting sweat out of you.
Yeah.
What are you doing to your tear ducts?
Yeah.
You're crying out the stuff that's not supposed to be in there anymore. You're cleansing yourself. It's a purge.
Yeah. Why do you think we're taught to
suppress?
This world is so fucked.
I don't know where that sentence is ending.
It is crazy, man.
Yes, it is. But it's crazy beautiful.
It is.
It's crazy beautiful. Because of war mentality. I do. I think we've been in this war mentality for so many, I don't even know how long. You know what I mean? Like, it's been a long time. But this war mentality makes you like just tense and not be open and free. And it's by not being in that release state where you have to be always on edge, always ready to like just, it's like the next move. It's like I have to move. Like, why? Why can't the next move be this? Or this? Or elegance or dancing. Yes, there is times that you have to actually do quick movements, but there's times that you could just dance through yourself. That's I think it's to keep us controlled. I think it's to keep us controlled. Like everything else that's a part of this existence that we've been inside of for so long, it's about control. I think they knew, this elitist group, because they've understood things at a very deep level, that if we are able to suppress men from not being emotional, that we have the ability to keep everybody in this fight or flight state. And why people are beating their wives or beating their girlfriends or emotionally harming them or psychologically harming them. It's because of not releasing.
Yeah.
And it's also on the women's side too. There's women that don't release either. So it's not one card. There's so many different cards to it. I also think we're in this patriarchal society, which is all about male dominance.
Yeah.
And I think prior to it was a matriarchal. I think before we entered into this is going back into history. I think before we were patriarchal, we were matriarchal. I think we were very feminine dominant.
You don't think we're that right now? Because that's what I think.
Matriarchal?
I think we're that right now, actually.
I think we're on the cusp of going into it. I don't think we're there yet.
Not yet?
Not yet, no. I don't... Think about what we were saying. There's not even men being able to sit in a car and cry.
But I think, because, I mean, if you go on social media, I think a lot more people are talking about how important it is to be vulnerable.
Now. That's what I'm saying. It's on the cusp.
Yeah.
It's on the cusp. We're not in it yet.
Mm.
We're still it's like that teeter, whatever that word is. We're sitting on the scales. I don't think we've fully embraced it yet as a collective.
So this goes back to generational curses.
Yeah.
Because men or women, you could grow up and you can be the super angry person. You don't even know. We haven't even been taught to really just dive into our emotions, understand why we're feeling what we're feeling, reflect and understand, okay, this is where it stems from. And then, most of all, being taught how to break those chains.
Right.
Like,
part of control.
It is part of control, but it's also, I mean, we can talk about spirits. We can talk about all of those
things.
I
mean, I was just doing that. I was working with a woman yesterday. I released 3 spirits from her. That was super cool. That's more going into massage and that type of atmosphere that I'm doing that work in. It's so simple that we overlook it. We all have the same emotions. It's encoded in every single one of us.
It's the reason why we're here.
Right. You have the same exact emotions inside of you. I have the same exact emotions inside of me. They have the same exact emotions inside of them. Yeah. We all have it. Every single one of us has it. But what we run from is the experiences that have the emotional encoding inside of it. We run away from those experiences. Yeah. Meanwhile, it's the opposite. We're supposed to go into those experiences looking for the emotion to stay balanced. We're supposed to be balanced in every single experience. Even if you do have those passionate moments of like going up. Yeah. But all of us have had those moments where we've gone way too fucking high.
Oh, for sure.
And then what happens after? We go straight down. Yeah. Look at the heartbeat. The heartbeat on a monitor screen. Up and down, up and down. You want to have an easy rhythm. Yeah. It's the same thing as our emotions. We want to have an easy rhythm of our emotions.
For sure.
But we aren't taught to go into our experiences, to uncover the emotion, to see where that emotion is coming from. Why is this emotion erupting inside of me, whatever the emotion is, to then realize, oh, I have the ability to lower the decimal or raise the decimal to whatever needs to be to find that balance point. Yeah. We're not taught those things.
No, we're not.
That's why everybody is all over the fucking place. That's why this world is so fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm. It just gets passed down onto the next, onto the next,
yes.
onto the next.
Yes.
It's this continuous cycle. But all it takes is that one person to recognize it, to be aware of it, and to break that cycle. All it takes is one. And that's something that, in my life especially, that's always been in the back of my head. Even when I was a kid, I was able to see certain things, recognize it for what it was, and understand and just apply it, and just say to myself, this is wrong. Like, this is not who I want to be. This is not what I want to continue on doing in my life. Especially anger in the Black community. There's a lot of anger.
Yes,
very much so. There's a lot of bitterness. There's a lot of resentment. And I don't want to stray away from the conversation, but just this example kind of just popped up in my mind, especially with racism, right? A lot of people have this misconception that, oh, just because we as a race experience this now means that we have to now spew hate toward or back toward that community. That's not how it works.
That's not how you solve anything.
That's not how you solve anything. There's a lot of people that, I don't know. I don't want to dive super deep.
You're good. I mean, I've looked at it too, and I'm just like, this thing makes. Why aren't the Native Americans that way? Why aren't the Jews doing that? Why aren't the Muslims doing that?
That's not how you react toward situations. You don't fight. You don't. It's not a hate versus hate sort of thing.
That's
what does Jesus tell you?
Gas onto fire.
Yep. Yeah. What does Jesus tell you? I mean, if someone slaps you, turn to them the other. It's hard to do. I'm not going to sit here and act like it's easy.
Nope.
We're all humans. We're going to fall short. But That's just part of that generational curse.
Mm-hmm.
Anger, resentment, bitterness, holding on to it only damages you. It only damages you. You're only hurting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also got to realize that you're also hurting the next generation
Mm-hmm.
because you're passing it down.
More so.
And if you don't know how to handle it, how will they be able to handle it? They're not
They
gonna.
won't.
They're not.
Mm-mm.
It's this continuous cycle. So like anytime I think about it,
It's upsetting.
it's upsetting. It ignites this passion within me because I see it on a day-to-day basis. I
And it's
experience.
in you.
Yes, it's
in
also
you.
in me.
Yes.
It's in me. There's days where I just feel fucking angry. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe not necessarily in regards to racism. I kind of see that from a different lens.
Right.
But just with life, there's a lot of anger.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that I hold on to from maybe what people did to me. And although I'm in a much better place now where I'm able to let go of those things and
Right.
forgive, there's still days where it just pops up and I experience that anger and all I want to do is just rage.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like,
because we weren't taught how to transmute that rage in the initial process.
absolutely, yeah.
That's the biggest thing. We were not taught how to remove that rage that's sitting inside of us from that initial experience, and it could be ancestral experience,
Yeah.
or this life now. We were never taught how to perceive it in a way that this rage does not have to be held.
Yeah.
It can be released.
It can.
Mm-hmm.
Bitterness can be released.
Mm-hmm.
Sadness can be released.
Mm-hmm.
Every single emotion that is not, I would say, not good for us.
And the higher states of vibrational fields.
Yes.
There's lower vibrational fields and there's higher vibrational
Yes.
fields. Things in the lower vibrational fields all can be transmuted, fixed, healed, everything, and brought up to the higher vibrational
Which
fields.
is love.
Yes. Compassion, joy,
Yep.
kindness.
Mm-hmm.
All of these things that we're all supposed to, every single one of us has the ability to attain this sensation, these higher vibrations.
Yeah. You know, for some reason, what popped up in my mind when you said joy, I think about people, especially within the Christian community, right? Like there's certain people that I've seen that have this testimony of how they got saved.
Mm.
And their anchor is Christ. And they have this light to them where you just can, you interact with them, you see how they interact with other people. They just have this light, this joy that can't be taken away from them. And it just makes me reflect on experiences in my life where I've had a lot of joy. And people can look at me and have conversations with me and say, "Oh my God, Dylan, you're so bubbly. You're so." And this was even before I found Christ.
Mm.
And it was just like, "Oh, Dylan, you have such good energy." But when you have that level of joy, and maybe you're not even anchored in Christ, or maybe you're not even mature enough, people can then steal it away from you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sure you can think of moments in your life where someone angers you or pisses you off to the point where that joy is just stripped away easily. And then it just makes me think like those lower vibrational emotions that we experience. And this is the conversation that I spoke or had with you the other day. It just feels like they sometimes overpower that high vibrational, state that we can be in.
We also allow them to, though.
Yeah.
Because we haven't healed that aspect of ourselves.
Yes. Yeah.
That's why they have that power over us, because we haven't healed that aspect of what was once injured.
That's a great point.
Because it's all an injury,
or
an affliction, or a wound, or a scar, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
It's that. It's this pain that we haven't released. We haven't let go of it yet. It's still a part of us. So when that person or people, whatever the experience is, comes into our life, they overpower us to lower ourselves into those lower vibrational fields. It's because we haven't healed it yet. Yeah. It's wild. I mean, and I still go through it. Yeah. I still do it. There's times that things come into my life and it's just like, damn, like I haven't healed it yet, but it's just like, thank you. Thank you for showing me I haven't healed this yet.
Oh, yeah.
That's that gratitude, because who's offering that experience to us for us to become healed? God. So God's going to bring that experience to us to test us. Mm-hmm. How worthy are you?
Yeah.
How worthy are you to get closer to me? Are you willing to face this, to let it go, to know that you don't need it anymore? Mm-hmm. Or you're still going to hold on to it?
And are you even aware of him showing you? I'm sure there's plenty of things that God was trying to show me today that I was just blinded.
For sure.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Likewise. There's for sure times, even today after the run, Like when I came home, my mom said something to me and I was short and just like, ugh, like a fucking dick. You know what I mean? And it's just like I didn't have to respond that way. But that was my response to what she said to me. And just like, but why did I have to respond
that way. Yeah.
like there was no point.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's after it even came out, I was just like, why are you even in this headspace? And it's just like I also came back from running 12 miles, and it's like, do I really want to have a conversation with somebody? Not really at all.
Yeah.
But it happened, and then it's just like, okay, this is where we are, and then you move on.
That's the worst. When you when someone is just like, so especially someone that you love,
Yeah,
is speaking to you, and then you just hit them with attitude or whatever it is, and then you think about it later like, oh my god, I can only imagine how I made them feel. It's like that guilt or that shame, or it's just like, damn, I should have said.
just something differently.
It's just like you're in the shower and you think of what
Yeah.
I could have said. That's
Yeah,
funny.
it hits
Everyone
you
can relate to that,
for sure, and it's
especially in an argument. Damn, I should have said
right.
that.
Or I shouldn't have said that.
Or I shouldn't have said that. Yeah.
It is what it is at this point. But
It's life.
it's right, and it's acceptance. Once you accept it and you acknowledge it, that's when moves can be made.
Absolutely.
Um, it's the same thing with our healings, and the recognition of, hey, there's a wound still here.
Yeah.
I just want scars now. I want
Mm.
these things to be scars. I don't want these to be wounds anymore.
Yeah.
I want scars. These scars will now be able to tell stories on how we can all prevent ourselves from being able to not go into that wound anymore.
And guess what? Scars are fully healed.
Mm-hmm.
You're not putting a band-aid over it. You're fully healed.
Nope.
It shows you that you went through the experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's your proof, right?
Mm-hmm.
It shows you that you were able to go into that fire. But guess what? It's fully healed.
Mm-hmm.
You can go back into it anytime you want.
That's right.
But it's not something that you're constantly just
bathing in,
right?
which is the opposite, right? Of fire to bathing.
Yeah.
It's, do you want to bathe inside this cruddy water that you've been bathing yourself inside of? Like, you haven't even changed the bathtub water.
Yeah.
You've taken 4 baths and you haven't changed the water
It's
yet.
gross.
Right. So it's just like, do you want to get out and actually go sit by a fire now and then cleanse yourself so that you can like clean yourself off?
Oh my gosh, there's something that I thought about. It's like, even in life, God will give you certain things, but He will also take it away if you don't take care of it.
Absolutely.
And this was something I touched on in Michael's podcast. It was the book of Jonah. And I found this so interesting because it kind of just hit me. I was reading it, and at first, when I initially read it, I just couldn't comprehend what was being said. But then after, it just hit me out of nowhere, and it was God.
Mm.
And it was, to sum it up, at the end of the story, Jonah, he was kind of beefing with God at this point in time. He was upset with God.
Yeah.
And he was pretty much at the top of this mountain, and it was very hot. Sun was blazing. And he was complaining. So God pretty much just allowed this plant to grow over him to give him shade.
Mm.
And he was just chilling underneath the shade, and then he ended up falling asleep. He was comfortable. But then throughout the night, God also planted a worm to come and to eat the plant.
Mm.
And he was trying to show Jonah, because when Jonah woke up, he saw that the plant was eaten. He no longer had shade. So he had to deal with the heat again, and then he started complaining to God. God pretty much just asked him simply, why are you mad? I gave you something, you decided not to take care of it, and I took it away from you. And you can apply that to anything in life. Mm-hmm. He will give you anything that you ask for. And it also kind of touches on what I was speaking about earlier. He'll give you those visions. Mm-hmm. And then once you actually obtain those things, he then also has the ability to take it away if he sees that you're not responsible enough to take care of those things. Mm-hmm. It could be relationships. It could be money. It could be people in your life that he plants inside. Like, it was a blessing that you also came into my life at the time that you did. Mm-hmm. But if I'm mistreating this friendship, if I'm mistreating this relationship, God can very much take that shit away. Mm-hmm. And then I have to go through this whole process of like, God, like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I asked for forgiveness. And then you got to start from rock bottom again. You got to work your way back up to prove to him that you're ready to receive those things again. Mm-hmm.
It's also proving it to yourself.
It's also proving it to yourself. Absolutely.
And I think that's the beauty of God, is that he's going to be that mirror reflection for you.
Yeah.
He is that reflection. If you are worthy to me, you're worthy to yourself. If you are responsible to me, you're responsible to yourself.
It's just like the weird, and this is, humans are so complicated. Because you can go through so many experiences where God is just slapping you. He's just showing you, like, what, wake up. Wake up, bro, wake up. But you just continue to fall in the same habits that you've done before, that you've also prayed to have him pull you out of. And you just continuously fall back into these patterns. And it's just like, why?
Stubbornness.
And this is the grace that he has.
Yeah.
He could take you out. He's just like, damn, this guy's not getting it. Let me just take him out. He could do that any given second. You don't know when your last day is. But it's still like, how much patience does God have?
A lot.
A lot.
Like endless.
Crazy.
His eternalness sits inside of patience.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And it's for us. That's why, like, I remember writing about this years ago. It was all about patience. And it was just telling me, like, I need to be able to be patient in everything. Walking, breathing, exercising, talking.
Yeah.
For sure. Whatever it is, whatever the scenario is, patience is living inside of every single one. So when you can obtain patience in all of these things, you don't care. Yeah. It's not that you don't care, because it's not the right terminology, but you're free.
You're free. That's the word.
You're bliss.
Yeah.
You're in this blissful state. So you're in this patient state, which is allowing you to be blissful, which is just everything is working right where it needs to be at all times.
Yes.
And that's patience.
And
you're not rushing it. You're not forcing it. You're not overthinking it.
Nope.
You're just being. You're just being there by yourself with God.
And the best things happen unexpectedly.
But are they unexpected? Because that's God showing you, hey, you did the work. You're doing the right things. Here you go. So is it unexpected? Or is it expected because you actually put the work in?
It could be that as well. But again, if you're also in this blissful state, right, you can meet the woman of your life. You're not looking for a woman. You're doing the right things. You have your priorities in check, but boom, just this woman comes out of nowhere. So it's just like, it could be both. It could be both.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of God.
Yeah, always. Always at the right time. There is no wrong time with God.
Yeah. I think that's one of the most difficult things that I'm currently working on as well. And that's something that I complimented you on. Yeah, his timing. Just being patient in everything.
Yeah.
In everything.
Yeah.
As you just said, everything being patient on. Even it's like rushing to the gym to get a workout in. Why am I so like relaxed? Just take a breather.
You get what
you're going to get the workout in. Why are you so eager to just rush to the gym and get it out? Like, relax.
Right.
In everything. So it's just like, you know, wanting an apartment, wanting whatever it is that you desire in your heart. Sometimes it's difficult to wait on God. Because he doesn't tell you. He may show you the vision, but he doesn't tell you when.
Just follow.
Just follow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so hard though, right? It's so hard.
He's literally outside of space and time.
Yeah.
So his way of wait, have patience, could be 5 years.
Okay.
It could be 2 days.
It could be 2 seconds.
2 seconds. Like, right? You just don't know, but that's when you let go.
But it does get faster. So
yeah.
I've thought about this in the past. The time spans between of praying for something and coming to gets faster when you are showing that you're doing the work.
Yeah.
That you're actually changing, you're releasing, you're surrendering. So at one point it could have been 5 years for that thing to then show up.
Yeah.
Could be 2 years. Could be 2 months. Because you're showing that I am here and I'm willing to put myself on the line for you because you've asked me to change myself in the ways you wanted me to change. And when you don't change, guess what? There's a delay in that receiving.
Yeah.
So where it could have been 2 days and then you didn't change because he asked you to change, those 2 days could have turned into 2 weeks now.
Mm. Why are we so defiant?
Because he's so eternal that we don't think he's here.
Oh yeah.
And that's also our worldly view that's been programmed inside of us.
Yeah.
That if we can't see it,
we can't believe it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But we all get these experiences of belief, of knowing that, oh crap, yeah, something happened.
Yeah.
How did that happen? God, universe,
not
eternal.
Coincidence. Nope.
Right. It's but that's why we're defiant. It's because, well, I did pray for something, but it took like 4 weeks for it to come. So it's just like, yeah.
Oh, is that my thoughts? Is that God's thoughts? Is that the devil's thoughts?
Right.
Nah, probably my thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's probably my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I don't know. I don't get it sometimes. Because it's also like, I thought about this the other day, and it's typically most people pray when they're in a very dark place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They don't pray when they're in the happiest space of their life. They don't pray while they're just walking and just enjoying nature. It's just typically, I'm not saying all people,
right,
but there's a lot of people that only pray when they want God to pull them out of a dark place or a situation. God, please, I hope she's not pregnant. Oh my God, please. It's just like those moments, that's when you typically pray. And I thought about this, like, and this is again where his grace comes in. We'll pray and he'll pull us out. And it's like we kind of forget about him. That's not a relationship.
Mm-mm.
Because I know we spoke about this last podcast. It's about having a relationship with God.
Yeah.
You do your part, God, because I know you will. You never change.
Right.
Am I doing my part? Am I satisfying you?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know within myself, you created me. If I know within myself that I'm doing the wrong thing, obviously I'm not satisfying you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, sometimes I don't understand. It almost feels like a toxic relationship.
It is. It is.
That's what it feels like.
Yes. And the imagery that came to me when you were saying, like we pray in our worst times and then like he plucks us out. What I saw was us drowning in water and we're almost about to die and God's just like, nope, puts us on land. Good, chilling. But then right next to us is a boat. That boat's there. We put that boat in, but there's holes in the boat. Now you're taking on water. What are you going to do? What's your next plan of action? You're going to try figuring it out. Oh, maybe I can try plugging in this hole, or I can get a bucket, pump out the water. He gave me this raft for a reason.
Yeah.
Do I now go back to him because he gave me this raft to go pray to him and be like, thank you for this raft. Now can you help me with the holes? Sure, I'll help you with the holes. Plugs it up. Cool, no doubt. Now we go further down the stream. Now we hit turbulent water. There's no udders. There's nothing there to help us. What do? We get scared. We get nervous. Pray to God. And then you get a coasting water again. And you're just chilling. Are you still praying for God for all the stuff back there? Or are you only going to pray for him now when the cliff is coming and your boat's about to fall off?
Yep. Crazy.
It's everything in between, from getting plucked out to finding the boat to having the holes, being inside the water, chilling, all of that stuff, to then the rocky waters, whatever. All of it, we should have been praying.
Why do we do that? Like, why do you think that is? Why is it so hard for us? Man, even Jesus's disciples,
yeah,
they would even forget about all of the other miracles he did.
I think it's the flesh.
Has to be the flesh.
Because then when you sit inside the spirit, you don't question. You're just there. You're just moving. And it's so beautiful that when you're in those states, it's just like, I don't have to pray.
Yes, yeah.
Like, I don't have to do anything because it's so beautiful right now. Like, why do I have to pray?
Yeah.
No, you pray to stay in that state because you've already went through the other states.
Yes, yeah.
So it's like, thank you for getting me here. Like, every time I sit to eat food, I pray to my food. Every single time. I'll close my eyes and put my hands next to my food, just sit there and just either out loud or inside my head, thank God for this food, this nutrients, this stuff that's helping me become more of who I am. Every single time I touch any type of food, I'm praying. Because there could be days I don't have food.
Absolutely.
So it's like, I'm going to pray now so that when those days do come, I'll know that I know how to pray because the food will then come.
Yeah.
But it's all of it. It's driving in your car. You have a fucking car.
Yeah.
You have shoes on your feet. You can walk.
Yep. Just thanking him for everything.
It's everything. The tripod that's holding the phone up.
Yep.
Being able to sit inside this room.
Yep. And there was no guarantee that we would have access to a space. We have a space.
Right. So it's everything. Everything is meant to be a blessing.
Everything.
This life is a blessing.
Yeah. It's like even waking up in the morning. That wasn't guaranteed.
Whew.
It wasn't. Anything could have happened to you. I had someone ask me, they were like, why do you always say God willing after like, God willing, I'll see you.
Yeah.
God willing, I'll see you again. Or God willing, I'll see you at this time. And it's because life isn't guaranteed. And I would be arrogant to think that I'm going to see you. Like I can't, even if, let's just say I were to go out on a date and I'm like, okay, next Friday I'll pick you up. That's not guaranteed.
Right.
Bro, God forbid, I could die tonight. Like, who am I to sit here and say, like, I'll see you this day? Like, that's not a guarantee. So it's just like every single moment of my life, trying to incorporate that level of gratitude. Like, wow, every single moment is a blessing. Me sitting here right now having a conversation with you is a blessing. Because I don't know when this could happen again. Every single time, of course, when we have a conversation, it lasts for hours. There's going to be a day, and I pray and I hope that it's in the far future where we're not going to be able to have conversations like this anymore. I mean, maybe on the other side, but not in the physical. So it's just like you appreciate every single moment, and